Hello, and welcome to a special, if you can see on the little icon there, a special publisher stream. Let me just make myself a little larger. There you go. I feel cooler now that I'm larger. There you go. Cool. Yes. Hello, and welcome to a special publisher stream. Here from Nomad Games, the studio behind this game, which you probably know, Talisman Digital Edition, but also a bunch of other stuff that we've done that's quite cool. Basically, I think it was like 2 years ago, we started doing a annual publisher sale in the autumn, and it went down really well, and we did it again, and it went down even better. So we are here once again to bring you another publisher sale, which you're either watching this on Steam or YouTube. So hi. We've got discounts on pretty much everything, everywhere, which has been a lot to organise. But we've got some historic lows being broken, especially over on Steam. Anywhere where you can grab one of our many digital board games, you can get it at a discount. For some places it's 2 weeks, some places it's 1 week. I had to do lots of... For anyone that doesn't know, I'm Tom Longshore Young. I am the marketing executive at Nomad Games. I'm the one responsible for all the marketing, all the publishing, all the sales, all the store pages, all the social media places that we are online. All of the sales stuff, I've been busy working away in the background to sort that out for you all. So I hope you enjoy. And as part of the marketing and everything else here at Nomad Games, it's my responsibility to play some games for you all to watch. So we are going to play some Talisman Digital Edition and have a great time while we do so. So I'm going to be playing a bunch of different games because this is a publisher sale, so it covers all the different games that we offer, and we don't just do Talisman. People might think we just do Talisman, but we don't just do Talisman. It's a wild thing to realise, but when people do, they sure do like the games that we do that aren't Talisman. I mean, everyone likes Talisman. I feel like it's a given, but character selection, yeah. Let's do random characters, because it means I get to play someone that I never normally play, which is quite fun, because normally anyone that watches our previous streams or checks out any of the other times I've played Talisman, you'll know that the sprite is the one that I go for. The sprite is always the one that I go for. Let's see what alternative endings we've got. So I'm feeling like the challenge for the crown. Not Wanderlust. Where is it? Greatest Hunter, Invention. Challenge for the crown. So, in order to win the game, characters must first journey to the center of the game board. When a character enters the crown of command, they immediately move to the plane of peril on the Dragon Tower. Dragon King, and win the game by vanquishing him. Okay, so in order to use that, I'm going to need to turn on the Dragon expansion. So let's go ahead and do that. I am going to customize what other expansions I've got, because the Dragon expansion, for anyone that has played a decent amount of Talisman, you'll know that the Dragon expansion is one of the tougher ones, to say the least. It's one that more experienced players will warn you about. Not in a bad way, it's just there's a lot going on, and you need to be very aware of all the different dragon tokens that are on the board, and if you're not aware, it can quickly get overwhelming. And there's just a lot of strong dragons in the deck, so it just makes it more likely that you're going to come across something that's going to absolutely wipe you out. So let's make it up to 4. I feel like 4's a good amount. Like 6, you can do up to 6, but it means that the game ends up taking quite a bit longer. I know it doesn't seem like it would just from running 2 more players, but it does make it quite a bit longer. All right. So did I turn on my alternative ending? No, I want to do that. Not Dragon King, Domain of Dragons, Challenge for the Crown. Cool. So that is the one that I want. And then cool. Let's start playing some Talisman. Right. So for anyone that doesn't know, somehow, Talisman was a board game originally released in the 80s by Games Workshop, and this is the 4th edition of the board game, the digital version of the 4th edition, and we're currently working on the 5th edition, so you can buy it physically as a physical game, but we are also making a digital version of the 5th edition, so it's looking really shiny and new, really modern. We've got a copy in the office and a copy of the expansion as well, just to play around with that. The Alliances expansion, just to play around with. And yeah, we've been playing lots of Talisman, and we've been working hard to make the digital version as good as it can be. If you want, you can check out all of our dev blogs. They're either on the Talisman Digital 5th Edition store page or on our website, whatever you fancied looking at, and basically cover all of the development that we've been doing so far. I'm going to be publishing another one fairly soon, but we actually have a announcement coming out for Talisman Digital 5th Edition fairly soon, so you might see it by the time this stream goes out. At the time of recording, I can't say what it is, but if you are in the future and you have seen it, I hope you're as excited as I am, because it's a very exciting announcement. Obviously I can't say what it is, but I can say that it's very exciting. So yeah, if you're in the future, let me know if you think it's as exciting as I thought it would be. Right, so Talisman. Let's play some Talisman. So, for anyone that's not played Talisman before, the aim of the game is to get to the center of the board. That's the aim of the game. The first person that gets to the center of the board wins, with some caveats. Depending on the ending, that can change. But the general idea is that you adventure around this fantasy board, encountering all sorts of magical creatures, strangers who will either assist or hinder you, powering yourself up, gaining more strength, gaining more craft, becoming more powerful until you reach the point where you're like, okay, I am now strong enough to go to the center. So it's a race against the other players who are also trying to reach the center. You roll around the board with dice rolls, and then draw cards as you land. So there's a lot of random elements to Talisman. Like there's a lot of, you don't know what the dice is going to come out as, you don't know what's going to be pulled off the top of the adventure deck, but that's part of the fun. Excuse me. I'm going to drink some tea. Yeah, that's part of the fun. And one of the things that we know from our experience of making Talisman Digital Edition and just talking to Talisman players is that element of you don't know what's going to happen every time you play a game of Talisman is what keeps bringing people back. So let's see what happens today, because I don't know what's going to happen. Alright, so dominate. Cast, you're about to engage an enemy in battle. You may enslave one enemy you're about to encounter instead of attacking it. The enslaved enemy becomes your follower and adds its strength to yours in your next battle, after which it retreats to your discard pile. Okay, that's quite good. So basically that means that if I come across a enemy that is stronger than I can realistically defeat, or I don't like my odds, I can... Oh, am I playing as... Oh, if I added them as human players. This is the issue with trying to run a stream and play a game at the same time, which is that I end up losing focus a little bit. Yes, that should be an AI player. Alright, is everything else still... Alright, challenge for the crown. That should be everything. Should be? Fingers crossed. Let's try this again. Alright, cool. This looks more correct. Alright, let me get some fate. Right. Yeah. So the reason that I'm doing this stream, just to reiterate, is because we currently have a publisher sale that's going on. So if you're on Steam, you should be able to go down below and see all of the discounts that we've got. Obviously, Talisman's the biggest one. We have done some discounts on expansions that we've never done before, like hitting new historical lows. So if you're looking to pick up any expansions, now would be a good time to do it. Like if you're just thinking about, oh, I've always wanted to try this, like the Woodland, but I've never picked it up. Now would be a good time to do it. All right, let's roll the dice and see where we can go. So we can either go to the fields or the hills. For anyone wondering, this doesn't really make that much of a difference at the moment. Each one will still mean that I draw one card, but it'll get me closer to somewhere that I want to be. And I think I want to go to the Woodland, so I'm going to lean towards this way. Right. Let's go here. Let's draw an adventure card. Deranged Alchemist. So I'm either going to become a toad, lose a craft, lose strength, gain a strength, gain a craft, or I can change all my strength points into craft points. So I'm hoping for a 4 or 5. Not a 1. A 1 is exactly what I don't want to happen. Literally, I'm probably going to post about this on social media and stuff, and doing all the previews and emails and things. I'm like, haha, come watch Tom try not to become a toad. And literally, the first card I draw and the second roll that I do makes me into a toad. That's Talisman. Alright, let's re-roll the dice, see what happens. A 4. Now, anyone who hangs out on the Steam forums and hangs out on the Discord or anywhere really where the Nomad team is on social media, you might have seen me debating and discussing the dice rolls in Talisman Digital Edition with various people. There's a common, I wouldn't say common, there's a perception that the game is out to get you in Talisman Digital Edition, where if you can re-roll a 1, you'll always get a 1, no matter what. If the game can give a favourable result to the AI and give an unfavourable result to you, it will always happen. This isn't true. This is a lot of confirmation bias and gambler's fallacy combining into one. But I have a simple thing that I say whenever I'm asking someone about this, because someone will. It's about every month or so. Someone will come onto the Steam forums and say the dice are rigged. They are 100% rigged. Every single time I can re-roll a 1, it comes out as a 1. And every time, I always ask them, just provide me some proof. Like, if it's so easy to prove, if it happens so consistently, no one's ever, and I've been working at Nomad for like 5 years now, nearly. Despite the number of people that have claimed that the game is rigged, the dice are rigged, and the game's out to get you, not once has anyone shown me video proof of anything where the dice have shown to be in the favour of the AI or against human players. And in 5 years, I would have expected some... Like, I don't want to be like sarcastic and I don't want to be like confrontational, but I think the thing is that in 5 years, no one's done that. No one's taken the 10 minutes that it would do to set up OBS like I have here and just record the game constantly rolling 1s when it doesn't benefit the human player. But no one's ever done that. Ever. So, you know, people can think what they want to think. There's people out there that will never, ever be convinced that Talisman isn't out to get them. But what I'd say to you all, if you're on the fence, if you're debating whether or not this game is fair or doesn't treat you fairly, is think about the fact that no one's provided evidence of this over the 5 years that I've been here at Nomad. And I just rolled a 1 which would turn me into a toad, which for anyone that doesn't know is a really bad thing. You basically can't do anything for 3 turns. I re-rolled that and got a 4, which is better. Like I said, believe what you want to believe. I'm just presenting the evidence that I can present, because let's gain a strength. And yeah, the reason that I'm harping on about this, and the reason that I'm sort of going on about something that technically doesn't really need to be discussed, is the fact that, you know, while it might seem like there's just a couple of people that are shouting about the dice being rigged, and we can just ignore them, the issue is those people can leave reviews. Those people can leave like comments on the Steam forums where they're like, this game is clearly going against humans. This developer is lying when they say that the dice aren't rigged. And, you know, that hurts our reputation. Like, that makes it so that people look at those reviews and go, oh, maybe that is true. Maybe this game is cheap and just like artificially difficult. And one of the things that we're super aware of is, say Talisman Digital 5th Edition launches, and, you know, when you launch a game, those first few reviews... Alright, he's casting random on me, which is fair, I guess. I'm the only one with a bit of an advantage. Become a toad. Okay, so I am getting a bit ganged up on, or at least it feels that way. Let's re-roll 3. Okay, so I didn't get a 1 again. Whereas if it was a case of, as people say, the game is constantly rigged against you, I feel like I would have got a 1 on my reroll, but I didn't. I know people will be like, oh, you've got a secret developer build that doesn't screw you over. This is the public version. Before anyone brings that up. What was I saying? Yes, I was saying, so when we launch 5th edition, one of the things that we're super aware of is the fact that those first few reviews that come in are going to be super important. Like, if you launch on Steam and the first few reviews, like, you get 4 positive, 1 negative, you'll be listed as a positive game. Like, Steam will be like, oh, okay, we can put you in these particular rankings. If you launch and you have negative reviews straight off the bat, like, you get dropped straight away. Like, your visibility on the storefront gets dropped. People will immediately have this perception of your game, and that perception straight off the bat is really hard to shake, like super hard to shake. So it's not that we're just saying, it's annoying when people complain about the dice being rigged when they're not. Something that we're super wary of is the fact that we could end up in a position where we launch digital 5th edition and people turn around and say, I rolled 3 1s in a row, the game's still rigged and crap, and it's just a terrible game, just as it always was, because 4th edition was rigged and 5th edition is clearly rigged, even though rolling 3 1s in a row can happen. Like, we meant to make it so that you can't roll 3 1s in a row. So yeah, like, that's something that we like, I don't want to harp on about it, but there's a reason why I want to discuss it and explain, and I'm always in the Steam forums or on the Discord correcting people when I see them say, the dice are rigged, please fix them, because they're not rigged. It's just, when you're in Talisman and you're not paying super attention, because, like, I don't know what the AI is doing. I'm talking to you guys. I'm paying attention to what I'm doing. But, like, the AI might be getting absolutely mugged by each other and, like, messing each other up. But I'm paying attention about what's happening to me. So it doesn't feel like anything's happening to the AI. Whereas anything that does come to me feels very targeted. What we got here? Alright. I can't pick that up. So let's go to the village. Let's encounter the Mystic and see what he's got to say for himself. A spell. That's quite a nice thing to say for yourself. So I can gain a strength. I'm going to queue that up so that I don't miss my window of opportunity. Alright, what we got? Yeah, I'm not going to play through a complete game of Talisman because, as this is a publisher sale, one of the things that I want to do is swap and choose which games in our library that I talk about and play and show you guys. Because, you know, like I said, there's more to us than just Talisman. There's a whole bunch of different digital board games that we've made, from Smash Up to Fury of Dracula, which is currently, as of recording, having another community organised tournament, which is very exciting. As Dracula lurks over my shoulder. We got the Fighting Fantasy duology, so Death Trap Dungeon trilogy, and Fighting Fantasy Legends. Those are some of the first games we ever did, and they're really solid. If you ever played those old Choose Your Own Adventure game books, so it's digital adaptations of those, and those are on for 80% off, I think, on Steam right now, if I'm remembering correctly. We've also got Cat Lady, which is very different to a lot of our other games. Like, it is a very cute, simple drafting card game that I'd definitely recommend you check out if you haven't already. Super cheap, super easy to play. If you want something to just pick up and play, Cat Lady is where it's at. Crag Crawler. It's crawling out them crags. The AI's rolled a 1, but re-rolled to a 6. That's alright. That's acceptable. Alright. Yeah, so this publisher sale is going to be running on for 2 weeks. So you've got plenty of time if you want to pick up or play around with any of the Talisman Digital Edition content. For anyone that doesn't know, the game that I'm playing right now, Talisman Digital Edition, the base game is now free. So if you've never tried it and you want to try it, this week and the next week is the perfect time to do so, because you can play around with the base game, get a hang for what kind of game it is, and then see if you like it. One of the things that is important to point out is the way that we handle DLC, because I feel like it's something that we don't shout about very much, but it is worth shouting about, because the more people know about it, the more people tend to turn to us and go, oh, that's actually quite cool. Lose a fate instead. Yeah, I'll lose a fate. Yeah, one of the things that we don't shout about all that much, and we should shout about more, I'm the one responsible for shouting here at Nomad Show, so I should shout about it more, is the fact that when you own expansions in Talisman Digital Edition, you can, first of all, sync your purchases across multiple devices. So if you have the Steam version of Talisman Digital Edition and then grab the mobile version for free, because it's also free on there, and then you sign into your Nomad account, you can then sync across your purchases. So like if you buy 10 expansions in Steam during the sale, which is happening right now, and it's pretty cool if you want to check it out, you can then sign into your Nomad account on your mobile device, and your expansions and all your progress and all your stats will carry over. So you only need to purchase once. That doesn't apply for all platforms, because multiple platforms have different restrictions, and we've got a guide on our website. If you search for Talisman Digital Edition DLC Sync Guide, you should be able to find all the information that you need, and it should clearly show you where you're allowed to and where you're not. Alright, I'm going to go to the graveyard, because apparently that's the only option that I have. Because there's a barrier there. I see. Yeah, so you can sync across all of your expansions, all of your progress, and it's a good way of just like getting some extra value out of the content that you've grabbed for Talisman Digital Edition. 3 successive turns. This card is busted. So I've got plenty of time to talk about the other cool thing that we do with DLC, while the sprite goes off and has their own little super adventure. So the other thing that we do with DLC is how it works in online multiplayer. So do you remember ages ago, well, I don't know if they still do it, but a lot of people were having issues with segmentation based on expansion ownership for different games. So like if you own a map pack for a first-person shooter, you'll only be match made with people that also have the same map pack, and it just divided up the community and made a real mess of things. Well, we've done something different, which is that when you join a online lobby in Talisman Digital Edition, whether that's a public lobby or a private lobby you've set up with your friends, no matter what console you're on, no matter what platform you're on, only one person in that lobby, doesn't have to be the host, has to own the expansion, and then everyone in that lobby can play with it. So if you have one friend who loves Talisman and was like, I'm going to buy the season pass and the digital exclusive pass because I want everything. First of all, that friend's pretty cool, I must say. Secondly, you can then play all of the expansions and all of the extra content that they've purchased without having to get anything yourself. Because now that the base game is free, you can just download the base game, sign in to your Nomad account, launch an online game, play together. Like, if you've got a friend who owns Talisman, or if you fancy just trying it out, you can join our Discord. There'll be links to that in Trying to think now. Where's the easiest place to find it? I think if you search Nomad Games Discord on Google, you'll be able to find it. It should be the first result. Yeah, on there's a ton of awesome people who would be more than happy to talk you through Talisman if you don't know where to start. And because you can share your expansions, they can set up a game that does include expansions if you want to try before you buy, and do that. Like, I know from personal experience that there's groups of people out there where there's like 10 of them and only 2 of them own all the expansions, and that's enough because they just have regular game nights of Talisman, and they're like, okay, we need either this guy or this guy to be involved in the game because they own all the expansions. But yeah, that's an easy way of doing it. And like, that's the thing, like we talked when we originally made Talisman and we were setting everything up and figuring out how expansions would work, and we were like, okay, well, we could segment it, we could make it so that everyone needs to own it, but that just seemed too restrictive. It seemed like an uncool, like, sure, it might mean that more people buy expansions, but is it worth it for the positive experience that people can have where they can turn around and say, look, only one of us needs to own the woodland and we can all play with it. Like, we want people to play Talisman. Like, we want people to have that Talisman experience. And, you know, making choices like that is something that we're always going to do. We're always going to try and do. Even going into 5th edition, digital 5th edition, we're going to keep that mentality. We're going to keep that mindset. And yeah, we can't wait to show you guys what we've been working on when it comes to Talisman Digital 5th Edition, because it's going to be really exciting. And like I said, by the time you're watching this, a mysterious announcement might have been made that you'll be able to find on the Talisman Digital 5th Edition store page. And if it has, let me know how cool you think that announcement is, because I personally think it's pretty cool. Let's go to the forest. I am safe. I like being safe. Yeah, I realise I haven't talked that much about Talisman Digital Edition. I've sort of just been rambling, but anyone that's watched our streams previously knows that I do tend to just ramble on. But if you have any questions, I'm very active on the Nomad Games Discord, so if you're not on there, find your way on there, and we'll be able to answer any questions about Talisman, or recommend expansions to pick up, because that's the thing, there's a lot of DLC for Talisman at this point. It's been around for 10 plus years, so at this point it can be a little bit overwhelming if you've never played Talisman before, but we do have the Adventurer Starter Bundle, which has the City, the Frost March, and the Sacred Pool, I believe. I'm saying that off the top of my head. Not 100% sure, but I'm fairly sure that is correct. Basically, a few years back, we asked our community what are some really good expansions to give beginner players to let them get a feel of what Talisman's about, like beyond the base game. And those 3 expansions are what people recommended and the community recommended. We're like, cool, thanks guys. We'll put that in a bundle and offer it as a discount to any new Talisman players. So if you literally have just started playing Talisman, you've downloaded it for free, can highly recommend the Adventurer Starter Bundle. Yeah. Alright, everyone else is still taking their turn. I'm assuming it's because the sprite took 3 turns. But because I've been talking to you all, I haven't been paying that much attention, to be completely honest. But a lion is about to get its face kicked, I think. That's a 6. That's gonna be a kick. Yep. Nice. Oh, right. So, I think I'm going to switch to a different game to keep things interesting, because I've shown you a bit of Talisman, and I've mainly talked to you about Talisman more than anything. But I'm going to switch to a different game in the Nomad Games catalogue now. So thanks for watching me play some Talisman, and stick around for the next cool game that I'm going to play. Thank you very much. Having the microphone near me would be helpful. Hello again. I am back from my lunch break / drink break / choosing what game to play next break. And today, I say today like it's... Why did I say today? That's weird. I had to go shake myself back into reality. Right now, I'm going to be playing Mystic Vale, which is a game that we released a little bit ago, but is based on a card game from AEG. So AEG have made a ton of cool board games. I chatted to a couple of them when I was at the UK Games Expo, and they're all really cool. So yeah, basically we teamed up with AEG to bring Mystic Vale to Steam. You can also get it on mobile, and you can get it on Switch, but I'm playing the Steam version today because this is the Steam Stream publisher sale event thing, so makes sense. Also, I don't know how I'd set it up so that I could play Mystic Vale on my Switch streaming. I don't have that kind of setup, so yeah, that's why we're playing the PC version. Let me just double check, because I'm pretty sure I've just finished putting in all of the discounts as of recording. Well, I put them in yesterday as of recording, and I think... Yes! So right now, you can grab Mystic Vale, the game that I'm about to play, for a whopping 90% off on Steam. That's our biggest discount that we've ever done on Mystic Vale on Steam. Previously, I think the highest we've gone is 70%. So as part of making sure this sale is as exciting as we can possibly make it, you can grab Mystic Vale for 90% off. So yeah, that seems like a good plan to me. If you're looking for people to play against once you've grabbed Mystic Vale, our Discord has lots of lovely people that you can play against, and I'm sure there'll be lots more once more people pick it up for 90% off. Also, if you're interested, the Switch version is discounted, so there's crossplay between the Nintendo Switch version and the Steam version, if you want to play against other players on there. So yeah, you should be able to find a game fairly reliably, I'd say. Right, I have not played this game for quite a while, so I'm going to put all the AI on as easy as possible, so that I look like I'm doing a much better job than I actually am. That's the secret pro game developer tricks there for you. Let's play with... I don't want Mana Storm on, but I will play with Veil of Magic. Veil of Magic's a good expansion to have when you're playing Mystic Vale. The other expansions add a couple of new mechanics, and given that I just want to show you the basics of Mystic Vale, I'll save that for when you play it. Alright, so a lot of things have happened, but it is now my turn, which is fun. So, Mystic Vale. It is a drafting game, but with a twist. The twist is that you are crafting your cards. You're not drafting and building a deck. Your deck size doesn't change. Instead, what you do is you start off with a number of blank cards or cards with very basic features. So like, as you can see, this is some of the cards from my deck. We've got some blank ones, some ones that do actually have something on them. And as you play through the game, you're going to pick upgrades from this row here and apply them to the cards that you have down here. So it's all about grabbing the correct upgrades for your cards, and then constantly improving your cards as the game goes on. So as the game goes on, your deck will get better and better. There'll be all sorts of synergies that you can use. There'll be all sorts of different things that you can grab, and you need to make sure that you're building your deck in a way that makes sense. You can't just throw anything in there. So let me explain how grabbing these upgrades works. So see this also. It's so nice to be able to play a game where it's got a visible cursor. It makes it so much easier, because otherwise I have to like point out what's going on. So this blue icon here represents how much mana I've got to spend. You get mana from the field that you have here. So this gives me 1, this gives me 1, this gives me 1, and this gives me 1. So I've got 4 total to spend. So as the game goes on, you'll get more and more mana from that. And then with that mana, you can buy these different cards. So they all have a different value up here. More powerful ones will cost more, but the general idea is as you play, you'll get more and more mana. Alright, so I have 4 mana to play with, so I can either get a wellspring or a grassland, or I could get some fertile soil. So you can buy multiple cards in the same round. I'm not limited to just buying 1. So I could buy 2 cards that are each worth 2 each, or I could buy a 4-1. So to give some more explanation, you might be wondering why my field is the size that it is. So this is based on how much decay you have. So the idea of the game is you are a druid, and the land that you live in has become, not spoilt. Spoilt's the wrong word. It's lost its life. It's lost its vigor, and it's up to you to bring that back. So when you have cards like this, you have cursed land, which adds to your decay. When you start a turn, you flip cards off the top of your library until the total amount of decay that you have equals 3. So when I started, you might have missed it during the first bit because there's a lot that happens at the start, but I would have flipped this card, so that would have given me 1 decay, flipped this card, 2 decay. This didn't give me any decay, so that's fine. This didn't give me any decay, so that's fine. This did give me a decay, which meant that it hit 3, which meant that I had to stop. So if you manage to get one of these growth icons, that cancels out your decay. So for every 1 growth, that negates 1 decay. So if I pick that grassland, it'll mean that I can flip more cards off the top, essentially, which is quite good because we like cards off the top. So I'm going to be deciding between grabbing a grassland, which will give me less decay, but it does mean I have less mana to spend, or I can grab a cleansing rain or two fertile soils. Cleansing rain seems like a bad idea because it doesn't actually give me any direct benefit in resources. It is quite useful, but if I've only got 4 mana to spend, I'd rather either go all in on a 4 or buy a 2. So I think I'm going to get a wellspring though. So all that chat that I did about fertile soil and grassland isn't actually useful, because, to give another explainer, you have these advancements to your cards that you can pick, but you also have up here the Vale cards. So these give you either points, so these are the victory points that matter at the end of the game, or they have different effects. And the way that you grab these is that you spend the resources that are listed here. So like this will need a green and a brown. This will need a yellow and a brown, and this will need 4 greens. So there's certain advancements that you can attach to your cards that will give you those resources. And a Wellspring will give you 1 green and 1 brown. Now, this costs 1 green and a brown. This costs a green and a brown. So I figure if I grab the Wellspring now, after it's been shuffled into my deck, when it does come back up again, I'll either be able to grab one of these. I'll be able to grab either one of these, which is quite good. So I think... Right, let's grab a Wellspring. So, one thing to consider, another thing to consider, that is, when you're picking your advancements to place on your cards. So each card in your deck has room for 3 advancements. It's got a top, middle, and a bottom. Nice and easy. Each advancement you pick has information on it that says whether it's a top, a middle, or bottom. So like this is the bottom one, this is the top one, this is the middle one. You can't have them overlap. So once I commit to putting this on the bottom of a card, it's then there for the rest of the game. So I need to think carefully about what I want to grab, what cards I want to put it on, and how I'm going to do that. So I'm going to grab this Wellspring and put it here. So now, next time I flip that card, it's going to give me 1 mana and a green and a brown. So it's more valuable when I grab it in the future. Alright, so we have a very, very low excitement turn. Where I've hit 3 decay, and I've only got 2 mana to spend. Now I can get a fertile soil, but this is a good example of how you can push your luck. So anyone that plays a lot of board games, you might know the term push your luck. It's generally used to describe a mechanic where you literally push your luck. You try your best to see if the luck rolls in your favour. So the way this works in Mystic Vale is you've got your field here and you've got the card on top. So if I decide to push, what will happen is this card will get added to my field. So I'll then have 5 cards out here, and this card will be revealed. If it is something that gives me extra mana, great. If it's something that gives me some other bonus, cool. If it is another decay, that will mean that I am then on 4 out of 3 decay, and my turn will end immediately. So I won't get to spend any mana, I won't get to do anything, my turn will just be over. So I can work out roughly the odds that I will get a decay and whether or not I think that's worth it. Because obviously if I flip that over, I'll get more mana, and more mana means I can spend it on better stuff. So I'm going to decide whether or not I want to do that, because I'm currently at 2, so I'd need 2 more mana to get the Wayfinder. I think that's worth it. Partly because I like the risk, and partly because it'll give me a good excuse to demonstrate the mechanic to you all during the stream. Spoil. Well, I tried my best and the luck wasn't with me. So now my turn is spoiled, and that's my turn over. So everyone else takes their turn, and then it is my turn once again. Alright, so this time I have 3 mana to spend. I could push my luck again, because 4 mana will get me some better things. Unless I spoil again. Unless the game just doesn't like me. So that's the risk you take. You push your luck. You push your luck, you see if it works out for you. If it had, I would have been able to get better cards. because it didn't. I was not able to get better cards, and that's a bit sad, but that's okay. That's what happens sometimes. Alright, I'm going to put Dawn Singer on that card to get me some extra mana in a future turn. And I've still not got anything super exciting. So I think I am going to grab some fertile soil, because I probably should have grabbed some previously, because even though it's not the most exciting move, it does mean that I have mana to spend. Right, fertile soil. Not exciting, but it's better than not getting anything. Right, I have not much. So I've got a field of 7. So this is my discard. So I'm going to spoil. The game just doesn't like me today. It doesn't like me. It's like, oh, you fancy showing this off on stream? Yeah, you're not. You're not going to have a good time. You're absolutely not going to have a good time. Alright, let's see what everyone else is doing. So you can actually see what everyone else's field looks like to get a good idea of what they might be going for and what kind of build they're working towards, so you can make better decisions about what you want to do. Alright. I do have the green and the brown, so I'm not going to push because I really want to spend. Let's take an Azure Lake, so that'll just give me extra mana every single turn, which is really nice. And then let's take the grassland. I feel like I've been decaying enough that it's probably worthwhile me taking a grassland. Alright, what else have we got? Alright, a very boring turn. So let's do it. Let's push again. And if it goes terribly, that's just what it does. Okay, cool. I now have 4 mana to spend. So I can get another grassland. See, I'm just slowly removing the decay from my deck. So in theory, I'll get more cards on my field, which will then mean that I have more mana, more resources, and just a better time. Because right now, I've got 5, which means I can get some better stuff. Alright, what have I currently got out of my field? Nothing exciting. That's okay. I think it's time to get a plough. Let's put you on there. So get some mana, get some resources, get some extra victory points. Yeah, and this is basically the game. You are presented with all these different options for how to customize your deck. There's all sorts of synergies. Like I said, I'm only playing with one of the expansions, but there are 2 more expansions available that add different mechanics, leader cards, all sorts of cool stuff. Ooh, Heartwood Healer. So I could get a Heartwood Healer, or I could try and get the Bear Totem. But I feel like the Bear Totem's a bit too much of a risk, because so the Bear Totem gives me a brown resource, whereas the Heartwood Healer doesn't, but the bear costs 1 more, and I have 5 currently. And as you have seen previously, if I push cards from the top, sometimes it will just spoil and my turn ends without me doing anything. So sometimes it's worth the risk, sometimes it's not. Right. Cool. I feel like this is the instance where it is worth the risk, because I don't really want a Cleansing Rain. It's a pretty boring card. I've got 3 to spend. Yeah, So like this is a point where there's no reason for me not to risk it, because I literally can't buy anything otherwise. So okay, cool, that is good. So I have one less to spend if I push that out, but I still don't have enough mana to spend, so spoil. That's okay. One benefit to spoiling. You see this little blue glowing icon here? So if you spoil, you get an extra mana to spend the next time you spend mana. So whereas I would have had 7 based on the cards that are currently in my field, which is a lot, I have 8 because I have an extra one. As like a, sorry you spoil, we'll give you something nice. Right. I could get a Chromatic Wyvern, which is quite exciting. That does add a decay to my deck. So there's cards that are pretty powerful, but they add extra decay. So you can add extra decay and remove decay as well. So it's, again, weighing up that risk if you think it's worthwhile. And in this instance, I do think it's worthwhile. So I'm going to purchase that, and I'm going to put this on here. So you can put multiple decay on a single card as well, but that's quite risky, because the moment that you hit 4, you will automatically decay. So if you flip the top card and it's got 2 decay on it, and it pushes you up into 4 from 2, your turn just immediately ends. So like I said, risky. Alright, I have 8 to spend. Could get a plow. A Heartwood Healer. I think a Heartwood Healer seems like the better. Yeah, I'm gonna go for a Heartwood Healer. That seems like the better option, because I can again reduce the amount of decay in my deck, so that I'm revealing more cards, and hopefully getting more mana. Right, let's have a look. I literally have a meeting in 10 minutes. I won't in the future, which is when you're watching this, but I want to see if I can finish this game before my meeting. So we're on the clock, people. We are officially on the clock. So he has a green for every shield on this card. That is useful, but I'm not really going into shields right now. So I think I'm gonna push and push. Cool, that is good. So I now not only have 10 mana, but I have a card with a shield on it. So I could grab the Grove Tender, but now that I have extra mana, do I want to do that? I don't think I do. I think I want to grab one of these 9 mana cards, which are very good. Let's go for a Grove Guardian. Yeah, let's go for a Grove Guardian. That's a strong, strong card. So as you can see, I've still got quite a few cards that are blank. You can go down the route of putting just one upgrade on each card, so that you get more consistent, as opposed to the occasional big turn. But there's so many ways to play this game. There's so many. Right, let's have a look what we've got. So we haven't got much exciting. Oh, Plow's okay. Magic Seed. That will net me a lot of mana, but there's not that much to do with that much extra mana. So I think I'm going to just get the Plow. I'm gonna play it safe. I'm not gonna do too much risking. and I'm just going to increase the number of cards in my deck that have a good attribute. Alright, let's have a look. So, 6 mana in my field. Could get a bear totem. Yeah, I think getting a bear totem's alright. Ain't nothing wrong with a bear totem. So I'm going to put it on this card because then that cancels out the decay. So when I draw that, it essentially means that there's nothing, which means that I can then carry on flipping cards, which is quite good. I'm going to grab that one because that gives me some more points. And I'm playing... anyone that's tuned in just now, I'm definitely not playing against the easiest AI possible. I'm a cool gamer, so I wouldn't do something like that. I wouldn't do something like that. And you definitely shouldn't rewind to when I chose the difficulty of the AI. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Alright, let's see what I can do. So I've got 15 mana. 15? Alright, so in that case, we are definitely grabbing a stag. Like, there is no way we are not grabbing a stag in that case. So, let's... Oh, that gives me just enough mana to grab a stag and a grove tender, which is a really nice combo. Because grove tender gives me a growth for every shield on the card, and the stag has 2, so basically cancels it out. Let's grab a Aether Tree. Alright. And then the game ends once all of the blue victory points have been taken. So along with giving resources, there are certain cards that every time you reveal them in your field, they'll give you victory points. So there are 2 left, which means there is not much more left in the game. So I'm going to reveal. Alright, I now have 5. So I'm just going to grab a Griffin because it's worth a point, and that's all I need to do. So I imagine this turn's going to be the one where all the victory points get taken. Oh my god, I'm revealing all sorts of cards. Alright, final turn. Cool. Alright. So I'm not going to risk spoiling because I've got so much mana. What's worth the most? So let's take a Magic Seed. Let's take a Bear Totem. And what's worth the most here? That's worth 6 points, so I'm going to grab that. And then let's see... Oh, there's still cards I can purchase. Don't need that. So let's just grab that. And then I should have grabbed that because that is worth 3 points. I was looking at the effect and thinking that it's not something that I need. If I lose by 3 points now, I'm going to be very sad. Oh yeah, I beat the AI on a difficulty that you shouldn't look at what it was. But yeah, that is Mystic Vale. It's available for 90% off in our current publisher sale event over on Steam, so I would highly recommend picking it up. It's also available on Switch and mobile with crossplay as well. So if you pick it up on Steam, you can then play against your friends on those platforms. But yeah, really fun little game. There's so much depth to the strategy. It's kind of insane. So, alright, that's it. So I will tune out and come back in a second with another one of the games from our catalogue. So thanks for watching me play some Mystic Vale, and I'll see you in a second. Bye. Alright, we are back once again. Although for you, it seems like I've been gone mere seconds. And we're going to play another game from our collection of digital board games here at Nomad Games. This time, I'm going to be playing some blah 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 blah. Every time I restart the stream, I need to restart my ability to talk as well, apparently. We're going to be playing some Fury of Dracula Digital Edition. So for anyone that doesn't know, Fury of Dracula is another classic board game from the... Just adjust my chair so that I'm not super low down. Another board game from Games Workshop. So originally released in the 80s, back when Games Workshop were doing a mixture of board games and all the other stuff they do. But they've carried on publishing Talisman and Fury of Dracula. So we've got quite a good relationship with Games Workshop, and they came to us and they said, would you like to do the digital version of Fury of Dracula? And we said, yeah, we'll do that. Which is how we ended up in this situation that you see here, where you can play Fury of Dracula Digital Edition, currently discounted on Steam and everywhere else. You can buy Fury of Dracula if you're so inclined. And yeah, as part of this publisher stream event, this is another game that I'm going to be showing off, talking through, and showing how we've adapted it to digital and the experience that it offers. If you like having game nights around Halloween, pick this up, because I have both played it and heard from many people who have played it at their own game nights and had an absolute blast. So, highly recommend it. Right. Let's... Also, I've not mentioned this previously, but the music that I'm playing in the background is just some general autumnal chill music. This isn't the music in Fury of Dracula, so don't be surprised if you open it up and it isn't smooth jazz. As someone that's worked on the development and as part of the team here at Nomad, the only reason that I don't put on the game music is because I've heard it so much that it's sort of drilled into my skull. So that's a personal thing that I have to do. All right. Let's set us up. So, play as all the hunters and have the AI be Dracula. Yeah, I think that's generally when I'm showing off the game. This seems to be the best way to do so, because you get to do more as the hunters, whereas if you're playing as Dracula, there's a lot of watching, which can be fine if I want to talk and just chat nonsense, but in this instance I do actually want to show off a bit of Fury of Dracula. So let's just get straight into it. Let's turn off all the power cards because that makes it a bit easier. And yeah, let's get into it, and I can explain what Fury of Dracula is if you've never seen it before. So, Fury of Dracula. It is a 1 versus 4 asymmetrical multiplayer hide and seek game. The way that it works is Dracula is somewhere on here in Europe. It's up to the 4 hunters to find him before his influence spreads so much that he just can't be stopped. Also, can I make this a little bit bigger? Bear with me. Right, you can't fully see what's going on in the corner because of my head, but that's fine. That's all good. Alright, cool. Let's play some Fury of Dracula. Yes, so it's up to the 4 hunters who you play as. You can either play as all of them yourself, you can leave it up to the AI, you can play 4 people against 1, either online or locally. Again, just like with Mystic Vale, this is a game that supports cross-platform play. So if you have the mobile version of Fury of Dracula and the Steam version of Fury of Dracula, you can play them together. I know a lot of people do it where the mobile player is Dracula and everyone else is playing on the screen. That's quite a fun way of doing it, because then it means that Dracula can just look at his own little screen. It's quite fun. So yes, Fury of Dracula. The aim of the game, if you are the hunters, is to hunt down Dracula. The aim of the game as Dracula is to try not to get found out by the time time runs out for the hunters. So you have all these different cities in Europe that you can travel around. Let's just zoom in so I can have a look. Yes, so you've got all these different cities that you can move around, and Dracula is going to be in one of them. Don't know which one. It's a mystery. Our job is to make it so it's not a mystery. So, in order to do that, I am going to... Let's supply. So, you've got a couple of different options as the hunters. You can either move, you can pass your turn, you can get some train tickets, which are quite handy. You can rest if you are injured. I'm not injured because the game's just started, so that's alright. You can search, you can use your special ability, and you can trade if you're in the same city as another hunter. And you can also supply. So supply gets you resources, different item cards that will help you in your hunt. So I'm going to do that because that seems like a good idea. Gain 2 item cards and draw an event card from the top of the event deck. Yes, I would like to do that. Cool. I have a rifle and a pistol, which seems a bit redundant, but dual wield, sort of. Hired Scouts. Alright, so Hired Scouts allows me to choose 2 cities of my choosing, and if Dracula is there or has been there, he needs to announce that. So, this is literally a shot in the dark because he's only just started. So let's choose Madrid and Budapest. Cool. So he's not in either of those cities, which isn't the most useful information, but it's information, and we'll take information. Alright, let's start with a knife and get rid of that Dracula card. Let's supply a knife as well, and a sense of emergency. Useful. Alright, dogs and Sister Agatha. So this is a card that I can use straight away. So I can either use it to search a location straight away, or I can have it as an ally that will give me a benefit throughout the game. So it depends whether you want to have it as a ongoing support, or if you want to use the effect there and then, which is quite an interesting choice. Let's have it as an ally. So we'll just make things a little bit harder for Dracula. Yeah, so it is now night time. You can't travel at night. So I'm going to get some rail tickets. Keep those. Let's get a rail ticket. Alright. Tickets grabbed. So there's ways that you can move around the board. One of which is to travel along these red routes that you can see here. Dracula's moving. So Dracula's moved. I don't know where he's moved, but he has moved. So he could be anywhere. It's my job to try and figure out where. Right, let's travel by train. Yeah, so there's various ways that you can move around the board. One of them is to just go by carriage, which travels you on the red route, which is normally the slowest way of doing it. Or if you travel by train, you can travel either along these red routes, or there are white routes as well. So it means you can move around a little bit faster. So let's move myself more in towards Central Europe. Yeah, so at this point, I don't know where Dracula is, and if I manage to land on a location where he either is or has been, he is forced to reveal it. So it's in my interest to basically move around as much as I can, because the further out I go, the more likely it is I'm going to stumble across somewhere that he's either been or is currently. So I'm going to check. I'm going to head out into the North Sea, because I want to use Van Helsing to check the UK, see if he's been there, and then I'm going to use Mina to go to Frankfurt. Yes. Right. Mina is in Frankfurt. So it is now nighttime, which means that I can't move. However, I can still reserve train tickets. So let's get rid of that one. Cool. Let's reserve a ticket for Mr. Seward. I was going to call him Steward, but he's Seward. Specifically Seward, and you can't get train tickets when you're in the sea. That is that. Unfortunately, that's just the way life is. Right. Cool. Everyone is now loaded up on train tickets. So Dracula is going to move. Right. So still no idea where he is. For anyone that's not played Fear of Dracula before, you're probably wondering how I get on Dracula's trail, or like figure out where he is. So at the top of the screen here, there is 6 slots for 6 location cards. As Dracula moves around the board, he puts down a location card every time he moves. So you can then work backwards based on how far along the track it is, where Dracula was a certain number of turns ago. So this card, the furthest on the left, is where he currently is. Next one is where he was a turn ago. This is where he was 2 turns ago. So as he moves around, the trail gets longer and longer. It maxes out at 6, and it's up to me to try and find those locations. So if I move to Vienna, so Vienna is not on the trail. However, if I move to Madrid, so this is what we were after. Madrid is on the trail. So what that means, as I was explaining earlier, is if you look at the trail up here, you can see the order in which Dracula's been to different locations. So he was somewhere, then he was in Madrid, and now he's somewhere else. Now, he can only move somewhere that's connected to Madrid. So that narrows down the options, basically. Means that I can say, okay, there's only so many places he could be. He has also put down a little bat to get in my way. So I'm going to have to engage in some combat. Right, I do have a knife, which seems like a good idea. Or a punch does seem like a good idea. Let's punch a vampire in the face. Who doesn't appreciate punching a vampire in the face? Alright. That is cancelling out my punch. So, I haven't explained combat yet, but now seems like a good time to do it. So, in combat in Fury of Dracula, you are presented with a number of options each turn, each round. So you flick through your options, choose what you want to use, and then you place that card. In the physical game, you place it face down. In the digital version, it is just not shown to your opponent. And the idea being is that your cards have various effects, but they also have the ability to cancel each other out. So, for example, for the knife, if my opponent tries to use either fangs or turn into a bat, the knife will be able to cancel that out, so that their card has no effect. For dodge, if they try and either bite me, use strength, or claws, then that won't have an effect either. So it's all about trying to figure out what your opponent might play, what to use to cancel it, and a very big bluffing game. So I'm going to use a knife, because I'm assuming you don't have anything that could take out a knife. Alright, claws. So that doesn't stop the claws. However, the claws don't stop my knife either. So we both take some damage. Alright, I reckon you are going to... I don't think you're going to attack me again. You've attacked me twice now. I think you're probably going to use either mesmerism or plotting. So I'm going to try and punch, which will interrupt that effect. Unless you attack me again. Escape is bad. Okay, so that allows the combat to end. I do still get a punch in, because you can punch a bat. It's true. Oh, the combat didn't end. Why did that not end? The combat, you mean? So I think that punch did actually catch it out. This is where I show my lack of Fury of Dracula interaction combat card knowledge, unfortunately. Ooh, fangs. Does that cancel it out? Yes. All right, that cancels it out as it should. Cool. I have now slain the vampire. All right. So that means that vampire will not mature, which is exactly what I want. So, previously I was going to check out the UK, but this time I'm going to go to the North Atlantic, because I now know he has been in Madrid. I know there's only a certain number of locations he could be, because if I look on the map, so here is Madrid, and he's one space away. So he could be in any of these locations, but those are the only places he could be. So I am going to make a beeline for Spain, because Spain is where he's at, and Spain is where I'm going to get him. Alright, it is night time, so I cannot move, but I can get some train tickets. Let's get rid of that. Cool. Let's rest. So, as I mentioned previously, you can rest if you've been injured, and now I've been injured because I've been in a fight with a vampire. The minion vampires that Dracula summons are a bit easier than Dracula himself. They have less health. Still dangerous, though. Still dangerous. Right, Dracula's turn. So, Dracula gets a card. And he has moved. So, for this move, he would have gone to any of these. But for this move, he could have also gone here. Because he could have gone to Santander and then Bordeaux. That is a possibility. So it's important to make sure that you stay on Dracula's tail, because the further he gets away from you, the more options he has, and the less narrow your field of trying to catch him is. So, Godalming, you are going to move by train to Genoa. Right. Godalming has moved there. See, part of me wants to make Seward rest, but another part of me does want to find out where Dracula is. So let's go to Santander. Alright, so he didn't go to Santander. Let's go to Bordeaux and see if he's gone there. So he didn't go to Bordeaux. Good to know. Good to know in Bordeaux. Let's move to Marseille. So I'm really trying to hedge him in at this point. Alright, let's have a look. So let's reserve a ticket because there's not much else I can do. Those are pretty useless. So I could supply. Let's rest, because I imagine we're going to get into Dracula combat fairly soon. Now, normally this does take a bit longer. I think I just got lucky with landing on Dracula's trail quite early on. But as you can see, once it hits 6 locations, chances are you will end up getting onto Dracula's trail. Alright, let's reserve a ticket. And let's reserve a ticket. Alright. Dracula's moving. Okay. So he's gone into the sea. So Dracula does take damage when he goes into the sea, which means that it's very risky for him to do it. But it does mean that I can't find him while he's in the sea. So, right, I am going to take a short break from this stream, but I will be back with more Fury of Dracula shortly. Unless I'm not, in which case, enjoy the Talisman stream. And thank you very much for checking out the Nomad Games Publisher Sale event stream. Appreciate you a lot.